if you're involved with or maybe just fascinated by those really big, complex buildings we rely on, hospitals, universities, huge warehouses,
Yeah.
public infrastructure, you get the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping them running, managing all the assets, meeting tougher standards for sustainability and efficiency. It's a massive task.
It really is a logistical challenge, to say the least.
So how do organizations actually do it? How do they handle all that complexity without getting buried in paperwork and, well, chaos? There's got to be a better way.
There is, thankfully, and that's exactly what we're digging into today. We've gone through the sources you provided, articles, research, those specific notes, and they all point towards a pretty powerful technology. Facility maintenance software.
Right, the sort of hidden engine that keeps everything ticking over smoothly. So our mission for this deep dive, let's cut through the jargon, get to the essentials.
Yeah, what you really need to know.
Exactly. What is this software, actually? How does it work day to day? Where is it making the biggest difference? What are the key benefits making people adopt it? And maybe crucially, what mistakes do you absolutely need to avoid if you're thinking of bringing it in?
We want you to come away from this feeling properly informed, understanding the nuts and bolts and the real impact it has.
Okay, let's get into it then. At its core, what is facility maintenance software? Give us the quick version.
Okay, think of it like the central command center for a building, or even a whole campus of facilities. It's often called a CMMS.
CMMS.
Yeah, Computerized Maintenance Management System. Basically, its main job is to give you one single central platform. A place to simplify the super complex task of managing everything inside that space.
So tracking assets, scheduling maintenance.
Exactly. And even getting insights on how the space itself is used. It makes the facility manager's job, well, manageable.
Instead of endless spreadsheets and phone calls and sticky notes, it's all digital, all in one spot.
That's the idea. And it's built for getting things done. You usually have an admin dashboard that's like mission control for the management team.
Okay.
And then, crucially, there's a mobile app version. That's for the people actually doing the work out in the facility, maintenance crews, technicians, inspectors, the boots on the ground.
Ah, that makes sense. The info has to get to where the work happens, so walk me through a typical task. How does it flow?
Sure. So it starts when something needs attention maintenance,
Okay.
an inspection, maybe a repair. An admin creates a work order in the system's dashboard.
Right.
They put in all the key details. What needs doing, exactly where it is, the priority level, who it's assigned to.
Got it.
Then, bang, that assigned person gets an instant notification on their mobile app.
Okay.
They can accept the job right there. Then, as they work on it, they update the status. Started, paused, completed. They can often add notes, maybe even snap photos, all from their phone or tablet.
So you're getting real-time updates straight from the field. That must change things significantly.
Oh, it's huge. It transforms the whole process. This digital loop streamlines everything, cuts down on miscommunication, reduces errors.
Less stuff falling through the cracks.
Exactly. It leads to way more efficient operations, less downtime for equipment, and, yeah, ultimately, lower maintenance costs. It brings structure to something that can easily become, chaotic.
Okay, so that basic workflow sounds smooth,
Oh.
getting the right task to the right person. But the sources suggest the real magic is in the specific features, right? The tools within the system.
That's right. That's where it goes beyond just a digital to-do list and becomes more of a strategic asset.
So what are these core features?
Well, first and foremost, probably the most fundamental, is work order management. We talked about the basic flow, but the real power here is the visibility.
Seeing everything that's happening.
Yeah. Real-time tracking, you see exactly what work is in progress, where it is, who's doing it. That transparency is massive for accountability. And think about a crisis, a critical system failure. This lets managers instantly see everything, prioritize the most urgent tasks, and get the right resources to the right place, like now. Maximum impact, minimum delay.
That immediate insight in an emergency must be invaluable. Okay, what else is core?
Next up is asset management. This gives you that single, unified view of everything your organization owns and needs to maintain within the facilities.
Not just a list, but details.
Oh, yeah. Critical details. It's operating history, uptime, downtime records, even environmental data if you have sensors hooked up, temperature, vibration, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And here's where it gets really interesting, drawing from the sources. The real-time monitoring part lets the software do more than just track history. It can actually start to predict potential problems, potential failures.
Predict. So it flags an issue before the breakdown.
Exactly. That's the goal. It helps you move from being reactive, fixing things after they break, to being proactive, preventive maintenance.
Fixing it before it even knows it's sick.
Sort of, yeah. Think about a big warehouse, like the sources mentioned. This tech gives you tight control over inventory and the equipment moving it.
Forklifts, conveyors.
Right. You can schedule maintenance on those based on actual usage data, sensor readings. It helps manage inventory flow, flags items needing a restock, and crucially helps avoid overstocking by optimizing how things move.
That kind of foresight, that predictive ability sounds like a huge win. What about navigating all the rules and regulations buildings have to follow?
Good question. That leads straight into the third core feature, inspection and compliance. Staying compliant is a massive headache for facility managers.
So many standards, safety, environmental, legal.
Exactly. And it's not just about ticking boxes. It's vital for credibility, avoiding hefty fines, ensuring safety.
So how does the software help with that specifically?
It gives you structured tools. You can create custom inspection checklists right in the system.
Digital checklists.
Yeah. Then the field staff use the mobile app during their physical inspections. They check off items, add notes if needed, even attach photos as proof of compliance or evidence of an issue.
Ah, okay.
All that data gets centralized. It makes audits, assessments, tracking renewals, everything so much easier to manage digitally compared to, mountains of paper forms.
Digitizes and organizes that whole compliance paper trail. Makes sense. What's the last key feature?
The fourth one is reporting and analysis. Think about all the data flowing into this system now.
Work orders, asset performance, inspection results, costs.
Right. All of it.
Yeah.
The software can then generate really detailed reports. You can run them whenever you need or even schedule them to run automatically, daily, weekly, monthly.
Okay, but why is that better than just, say, crunching numbers in Excel?
Because it connects the dots. It gives you data-driven insights that were really hard or maybe impossible to get before. Like truly understanding where your maintenance budget is going, identifying recurring problems or bottlenecks slowing things down, seeing which assets are costing the most to maintain.
Oh, okay.
It lets managers fine-tune operations based on hard data, not just hunches. Make smarter decisions about allocating resources, improve processes strategically. It moves you from guesswork to informed action.
So these 4 pillars, work orders, asset management with prediction, compliance tools, and robust reporting, they really form the foundation for efficiently managing these complex places.
Absolutely. They provide the control and the intelligence. And because the software is pretty adaptable, you see it being used effectively across a really wide range of industries, each one tweaking it for their own specific needs.
Okay, let's pivot to that then. Where is this FM software actually being deployed? Give us some examples from the sources showing where it makes a difference.
The source gives some great examples. Healthcare is a big one. Obviously, patient safety and keeping critical equipment running 24/7 is non-negotiable.
Absolutely critical.
So the software helps ensure medical devices have maximum uptime. It uses sensor data for prompt calibration, monitors critical patient support systems. It helps prioritize maintenance based directly on patient care needs. It's about safety and reliability, first and foremost.
You really can't afford for, say, a ventilator or an imaging machine to go down unexpectedly. What about industries with lots of heavy machinery, like manufacturing?
Good example. In manufacturing, you're dealing with tons of complex equipment conveyors, boilers, robots, HVAC systems, forklifts. The software uses sensor data vibration, temperature, pressure to predict potential failures before they happen.
That predictive maintenance again.
Exactly. Catching a problem on a key piece of assembly line equipment before it fails can prevent incredibly costly production delays. Minimizing downtime is everything in manufacturing.
Makes perfect sense. What about sectors where the risks are even higher?
Yeah, the sources highlighted oil, gas, and utilities. These operations are often massive, incredibly complex, inherently hazardous, and sometimes in really remote or tough locations, offshore platforms, deserts.
High stakes.
Very high stakes. Capital intensive too. So real-time monitoring and predictive maintenance aren't just nice-to-haves. The sources call them the backbone of safe, reliable operations.
And there was a sustainability angle there too, right?
Yes, increasingly important. Helping these companies measure and track things like emissions, their carbon footprint, managing assets involved in environmental controls or mitigation efforts.
That's a crucial layer now. Okay, one more. What about somewhere like a university or school district?
Right, educational institutions. The focus there is creating a great, safe learning environment. That means well-maintained classrooms, labs, dorms, sports facilities.
Keeping the campus running smoothly.
Exactly. Once it's set up, it helps manage these often sprawling facilities efficiently, keeping maintenance costs under control. And one interesting benefit mentioned was how it provides insights into space usage.
How so?
By tracking maintenance activities and maybe even room bookings linked to the system, managers can get a kind of aerial view of how different spaces are actually being utilized.
Ah, so they can spot underused areas?
Yeah, and find ways to maximize the use of their existing buildings for classes, meetings, events, whatever, getting more out of the space they already have.
Wow. Okay, so from critical care in hospitals to optimizing classroom use, the applications are really diverse. It shows how adaptable these core features are.
Definitely. And that adaptability, tailored to specific needs, is driving some pretty significant market growth.
Oh, okay, let's talk about that growth. Let's really zero in on the why. The sources listed, I think, 7 key benefits that are pushing this adoption. But first, what's the overall market look like? You mentioned growth.
Yeah, the numbers are quite telling. Fortune Business Insights pegged the global facility management market, which is heavily influenced by this software, at around 1.28 trillion US dollars back in 2023. That's already massive.
Huge.
But the projection, they expect it to grow to nearly $2.3 trillion by 2032.
Wow, almost doubling in less than a decade.
Exactly. That kind of steep curve shows this isn't just a niche tool anymore. It's becoming standard practice.
Okay, so what are those specific benefits convincing so many organizations to jump on board? What are the top 7?
All right, here are the big ones outlined in the sources.
Improved efficiency. This is kind of the baseline. Automating manual tasks, streamlining those order workflows. It just means maintenance teams can get more done with the same resources.
Less wasted time, fewer errors.
Precisely. And the sources actually cited a specific study here. Aberdeen Strategy and Research found that organizations using this kind of software saw, on average, a 10% boost in productivity and a 15% reduction in maintenance costs.
Those are solid numbers. Okay, benefit 2.
Cost savings. This ties into efficiency, but it's broader. It saves money in multiple ways. Fewer expensive emergency repairs because you're doing preventative maintenance.
Right, avoiding those big breakdown bills.
Less wasted labor time through better scheduling. Optimizing energy use, like automatically adjusting HVAC in unused areas or quickly detecting water leaks. And smarter repair versus replace decisions based on actual asset data. It all adds up.
Makes sense. Number 3.
Enhanced asset lifespan. If you're taking better care of your equipment through proactive, scheduled maintenance based on its actual condition,
It lasts longer.
it just naturally extends its useful life.
Yeah.
You're preventing that premature wear and tear that comes from neglect or just running things until they fail, protecting your investment.
Good point.
Better space utilization. We touched on this with universities. The visualization tools and activity data can give managers real insights into how space is actually being used day to day.
That aerial perspective.
Yeah, helping them find opportunities to consolidate, reconfigure, or just generally maximize the usable square footage they already have, getting more value from the physical footprint.
Clever. Okay, number 5.
Improved compliance. This is a huge relief for many organizations. The software actively helps meet regulatory requirements. Automated reminders for inspections, permit renewals, certifications so deadlines aren't missed. Plus, having a centralized digital log of all compliance activities, reports, incidents. It makes preparing for audits so much less painful and helps avoid those potentially large fines.
Streamlines that whole process.
6. Sustainability compliance. This builds on the compliance point, but focuses specifically on environmental goals. It helps organizations monitor energy consumption from major equipment.
Finding ways to reduce usage.
Exactly. Working towards net zero targets. It can also track CO2 emissions linked to maintenance activities like vehicle use or HVAC systems, and manage systems like rainwater harvesting or gray water recycling if they have them. It provides the data needed for green initiatives.
So tangible help with environmental reporting and goals. Okay, last one. Number 7.
Enhanced safety and risk management. This is absolutely critical, especially in complex or multi-story buildings. The system provides oversight for critical safety systems.
Fire alarms, emergency lights.
Sprinklers, access control, making sure they're regularly inspected and fully functional. It also tracks routine maintenance on things like elevators and escalators, which directly reduces the risk of accidents. It brings documented control to safety protocols.
That's a really comprehensive list of benefits. It goes way beyond just fixing things faster. It impacts finance, asset life, space, rules, sustainability, and safety. It's quite holistic.
It really touches almost every aspect of managing a physical facility, but like any powerful tool, how you implement it is key. The sources were also quite clear about potential pitfalls.
Right. It's not magic. Things can go wrong.
Oh.
Let's switch gears to that. What are the common mistakes organizations need to watch out for when they adopt this?
Okay, the first big one highlighted was no planning. It sounds almost too basic, but apparently it happens a lot.
Just diving in.
Yeah. Organizations jump into looking at software vendors without having a clear, documented plan of their own. You need to map out your current maintenance processes first. Define exactly what you need the software to do for your specific situation.
Know your requirements before you shop.
Absolutely. Communicate those clearly to providers. And set a realistic timeline for actually rolling it out. It needs a proper blueprint, not just a vague idea.
You can't just buy the software, flick a switch, and expect miracles on day one.
Exactly right. The second pitfall, neglecting the IT infrastructure. This software relies heavily on data, real-time data.
From sensors, mobile devices.
Correct. If your underlying IT, your network, your servers, the compatibility between systems isn't up to scratch, the FM software just won't work properly.
What happens then?
Data transmission gets interrupted, work orders get delayed, notifications don't reach the mobile apps on time, the whole real-time benefit disappears. A solid IT foundation isn't just nice, it's essential.
It's like buying a high-performance electric car, but having no charging stations or even reliable electricity.
That's a perfect analogy. Okay, mistake number 3. Underutilization of features. These systems are often incredibly feature-rich, packed with capabilities.
More than just work orders and asset lists.
Way more. But organizations often only scratch the surface. They might rush the initial setup just to get the basic work order flow running.
And then never explore the rest.
Exactly. They never go back to learn about or implement the more advanced modules, predictive analytics, deeper reporting, space management tools. This limits the value they get, hinders their ability to scale it later, and means they're paying for features they don't use.
So they bought the whole Swiss Army knife, but only ever used the main blade.
That's a good way to put it. The sources stressed understanding the system's full potential, maybe through vendor demos or dedicated training. Especially larger companies with complex needs can fall into this trap.
Okay, underutilization. What's the final pitfall?
Number 4 is skipping optimizations and improvements. This is critical. Implementing FM software isn't a one-time project you finish and then forget about.
Set it and forget it doesn't work.
Definitely not. Organizations change, needs evolve, facilities get renovated, new assets come online, old ones are retired. Technology itself keeps advancing.
So the system needs to keep up.
Precisely. If you don't continuously review how you're using the system, tweak configurations, update asset data, and maybe implement new features as your needs change, the system gradually becomes less accurate.
Outdated data leads to bad decisions.
Or incorrect maintenance schedules, missed opportunities, frustration for the users. It needs ongoing attention to stay aligned with the reality of your operations and deliver maximum value.
Those are really crucial warnings. It sounds like success isn't just about picking the right software. It's equally about the planning, the IT readiness, fully adopting its capabilities, and treating it as an ongoing process.
Absolutely. It's a partnership, really, between the technology itself and how the organization embraces and manages it over time.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. We've covered a lot what facility maintenance software actually is. Those core features like work orders, asset management, compliance, and reporting that make it tick.
Yeah, and where it's being used: healthcare, manufacturing, energy, education, tailoring benefits to each.
Right. And those compelling benefits: efficiency, cost savings, longer asset life, better space use, compliance, sustainability, safety, a powerful list.
But also those critical pitfalls to avoid: lack of planning, weak IT, underusing features, and failing to optimize over time.
It really paints a clear picture.
Ultimately, the sources paint FM software as a really potent tool for managing the complexity of modern facilities. It drives real, measurable improvements across the board. It's shifting from being a maybe to more of a must-have for efficient operations.
It is amazing how software can bring so much order and intelligence to the very physical world of maintaining buildings and infrastructure. Okay, to wrap up, here's that final thought from the sources for you, our listener, to chew on.
As facility maintenance software keeps evolving and we're seeing rapid change, especially with AI integration promising much more automation and even smarter predictive capabilities, what specific actions do you think organizations really need to start taking right now to make sure they're truly prepared to harness that next wave of change effectively?
Something to think about.